These people are confused. Just need to love God. What on earth? Do I love God or do I love me? What do you call it, the street Jesus?
Live from the Pathway Studios in Johnston proper. You are live from the path.
And you're listening to Live from the Path. We're coming from the Pathway Studios here in Johnston proper. Mike, that has to stop. That needs to stop right now. Okay, here's the problem. If you're on if you're on the podcast only, you're not catching the video. Mike has got his goofball face. I mean, like 2 inches. I got to clean that camera.
Yeah. You can count my nose hairs, including the one that grows right on top of my nose randomly.
Ooh. You have a nose hair on top?
Yeah, most of it stays in the forest where it belongs, and every once in a while I'll get this young upstart that wants to come right out the top of the nose, and then my wife will catch it, or I'll feel a stiff breeze wheeling it around like spaghetti. And I'm like, I gotta do something about that thing.
On my ear that does that, and I'm just like, oh
yeah.
And then I'll make a video for church, and it's like up close, and then it's like on the screen, it's monsters like a tree sticking out. I'm like, why doesn't anyone tell me these things?
Hey man, I turned 30 a couple months ago, and I think my shoulder hair knows it.
That's when it happens.
Started growing.
Yeah. Just it's magic.
Yeah.
Your
I
body
looked
says
at them and
30.
realized that I had shoulder pads on my tattoos, and I hated it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if that needed to be added to my grooming regime. It was
It
obviously
really-
not very long.
It's actually, you know you're climbing the age scale when your haircut lady's like, you want to do something about that ear hair? I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Please.
Yeah, please do that.
I can't hear. What are you saying?
What was that?
Okay, thanks for listening.
Hey,
to
Ben.
Live from the Path.
Oh yeah, we're on live.
Here's what we got going on the show tonight. All right, Buva's here. Whatever. Say hello to Buva. He's also unnaturally close to what is going on today.
Yeah, buddy.
Look at their face in this camera. I don't even post the videos to YouTube anymore. It turns people off.
I gave up on YouTube fame about 12 years ago.
Yeah, I doubt that. Wait a minute.
Hey, hold up first off.
Wait a minute, Buva. If someone were to say, "Look, I can get like you make a deal with it's not the devil, but like some sort of deal with Tom Cruise."
It's not the devil.
It's Tom Cruise says, "Look, I can make you a YouTube star overnight." And would you have interest in it? Would you want to be a YouTube man?
No.
Mr. Influencer.
Yeah.
No. I feel like for a second I'd say yes, but then every bit of my lack of self-esteem would eventually go no.
No, you're like that. You're like that lizard in Spaceballs, where the guy's trying to eat the eggs or whatever, and then the lizard comes out and really wants to be the star of the show. The hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Hello, my
First off,
ragtime
The
gal.
lizard
That's your inner YouTube man.
It
that
is
wants
a
out.
chest burster that is supposed to be like from Alien.
I haven't seen that movie.
The lizard
Yeah.
in Spaceball. Whatever.
Yeah. This is what I'm talking about. Look how close you are to that camera, Buva. This is not necessary. I do not have these kind of problems. All right, so here's what we got going on. All right, that's enough of you. It's like Piston Honda from the Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Okay, I got a few. I have an observation. I was sitting next to. I was out driving, and I pulled up next to a dude who was listening to a podcast, and it was real clear. Like he was an African American dude. And it was obviously a couple of African American fellas on this podcast, and so I only caught like 8 seconds of this, but the phrase that stood out to me was, "and all those white people with their HOAs." And so here's why. This is a weird where this got me because I heard that
Retirement plan?
No, HOA is like homeowners association.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what the rest of the podcast was about. I don't know this man. I don't care what the podcast is. What it got me thinking of, though, just by that one phrase, it's just a weird thing to say. Because it implies that, like, hey, man, white people as a whole live in places of which people are paying HOAs.
Yeah.
Okay? So,
I never have, for the record.
no, in fact, I don't know anybody that does. But, like, that's exactly what I was thinking. What it got me thinking about, in case you're the person that is easily offended and you're like, oh, where is he going with this? What it got me thinking about is I wonder if there's anybody that does, like nationwide giant perception studies. Because what would be super interesting to hear is that, like, if you were to ask, I don't know, 100,000 African Americans and say, look, what percentage of white folks do you think live in places where they pay HOAs, as an example?
Oh.
All of them. I'd be interested to know.
Because, and I thought about that, like, there's all kinds of, like, you gotta be careful how you ask these questions, but, like, just think of all the types of questions you could ask where you could feel like what people's, not just, like, what's your opinion, but, like, what's your perception? You have a belief of how the world works, how groups of types of people, how age-bracketed groups of people are, what their lives are like. And then be able to say, here's America's perception of itself in all its cultural and diverse glory. And then here's the reality. Here's what you believe about white folks who pay HOAs. And then, like, you think it's 80%, it's 15. Does that now how do you reshape your world based upon where your perceptions are at? And, like, I don't know. You'd have to have, like, a bucket of probably 200 questions.
There'd be
like,
some real good questions in there. Like, what percentage of people who have beards hunt, do you think?
Yeah.
You'd be like 95.
Right. Every time I see a guy who's got a beard and an air conditioner hat, I feel like he killed something within the week.
Yeah.
And, like, how many guys have killed something within the week? Well, actually, very few.
Yeah.
And because it just seemed a little bit different than you're always reading surveys about, like, people's opinions on something, and, like, people always trying to twist demographic and other facts to fit their narratives. It would be super interesting to me to take, like, a hands-off, here's just a stack of questions, 150 high. We're going to ask 100,000 people a year for the next 10 years. And, like, I bet there's all kinds of things where I have a perception that I'm wrong. And I would never know it. There's not a forum for me, because what I'm going to do, what I'm going to ask as many white guys as I can think of, hey, does anybody have an HOA?
Boob ain't been here for like 2 years. He's on his phone, Ben.
Texting my wife. Give me a
He's on
second.
his phone.
Yeah, I know. I can't
2
help it.
years, Ben.
Yeah. He's in that phase in his marriage. where
That's
he's
some
still-
real HOA behavior.
Yeah, I know. That's yeah.
Pardon me for being worried about being 4 white men in a room talking about 100,000 African Americans talking about anything.
We said we were going to poll everybody.
Wait a minute. Is this your perception after you did not pay attention to the conversation at all?
First off,
Because
You think we're in trouble?
the whole point was, it wasn't to assume what you know about anything. It was to ask and have an understanding of, well, here's my perception of the world, and then here's what the reality is, so you can learn from that perception. And then what you did was stop using your phone and then present like we're trying to present like we know what 100,000 black fellas think. I am incensed at this behavior.
I can tell, and I am too tired in any way, shape, or form to try and rebuttal against what you just said. But no, you were not
Goodness
correct.
me.
You're not correct.
Anyway, the point is that, like, it made me think that, like, part of the barriers that we have is just perceptions. Like, we have a perception, and they're not even like stereotypes. Even they're just like we think the world works a certain way, or we think certain groups of people or people in certain situations are realities, and, like, I'm not sure there's a great forum or a way to actually confront those types of things in a relatively unbiased way.
Yeah.
To get people to express it. Anyway, so, like, I tried to look to see, like, I typed in annual perception survey, and of course I didn't find anything that I enjoyed. It just made me think that, like, it would be very useful to know where my perceptions are wrong.
I was talking to somebody earlier this week at work, and they said, like, Caterpillar did a perception study similar to this about their brand, right? Like,
yeah.
Go out and do that, right? And, like, largely in Europe, the common perception is Caterpillar is a boot maker. They make boots.
Oh.
Because the machines aren't as that big of a deal, right? Like, if you come to the Midwest, you're like, okay, we make end loaders, we make skid loaders, we make combines, we make...
Yeah, that's what I think of, yeah.
Yeah, like, because as soon as you hear Caterpillar, you're like, big machines, moving dirt, that's what we do. Because that's what we do in the Midwest, right? But you go over to Europe where they don't use them as much, and they're like, Caterpillar's a boot manufacturer who may dabble in machines.
Wow.
And so that's super interesting to me,
Yeah,
because I would never have thought anywhere in the world that somebody would think Caterpillar is anything other than big dirt movers, you know?
Well, you always wonder, we've had this conversation I have with many people over the years, like, what is the person who's never been to church, what's the perception of what church looks like?
Yeah.
And then how does that blow up, when they attend a particular church?
Right.
Not realizing you can go to 10 churches and have 10 completely different experiences.
Yeah, also
I
true.
mean, completely, But if you've never gone, you think, well, they all do X, Y, Z.
Yeah, actually, there's a couple churches that I went to when my wife and I were first married that, like, if that was and she didn't grow up in the church, and that was her perception of what church looked like, and they were horrible. They're just horrible, right? There's one of them we walked in, and, like, we weren't there for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden I could sit up front, she had to sit in the back, and she was supposed to be on the cherry pie ministry or something, and they were already telling her, like, how to get to the directions to the house. And I'm like, holy cow, we got to get out of here. This is not the place for us, She's like, all churches are like this? I'm like, no.
Wait a minute. You had to, like, you were separated?
Yeah. Dudes up front. Ladies in
I
back.
want to know more about the cherry pies.
Yeah. She was instantly part of the cherry pie ministry.
I like that.
And actually, I did go to we went to another church where they brought a cherry pie to us like the after Sunday because we were a first-time visitor.
Yeah.
They showed up Monday with cherry pie, and it completely creeped me out.
Did you eat it?
Yeah, of course I
I
did.
kind of wouldn't. I get creeped out by stuff, even though they're like from like a church. I'd
You
be
think
like,
someone syringed it?
I know, yeah. There's got to be needles. There's probably like Jesus needles in here or something.
I mean, I've done a lot of electrical work for a lot of people's houses that I've gone to church with, and it'll take you off potlucks for a while. You're
Yeah.
like, ooh, I don't know that I can eat food from people's
Okay,
houses.
so this tells me that you guys are prone to internet conspiracy theories.
Right?
mean?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. I mean, a guy who's super worried about syringes in their cherry pie from the church.
I'm worried about the conditions. I'm worried about the conditions of which the food was made after I came in and fixed a couple outlets.
It got baked. Everything it got baked.
I
up.
think they're putting old communion juice in there. What else are you going to do with it?
recycling.
Yeah, what do you do with it?
I mean,
Once it gets in
you
the
bake
little
it into
cup-
the pie.
Ooh,
It's a special
sounds
recipe.
delicious.
We're not going to throw that stuff away. It's expensive.
Yeah. Okay, I could see that.
I feel like I'm in a fever dream right now.
Have you ever not eaten a suspicious something that someone brought you out of the kindness of their heart, Booba?
Okay. Yes, I've thrown stuff away that people have given me out of the kindness of their heart.
And you said because you felt like it was suspiciously
nasty.
baked, or not because it was tasted bad, but like you're like,
No.
I'm not even touching that.
You just assumed.
I
You gotta
just smell
prove
it. Like
you
I've had
presumed.
situations where people have brought me stuff trying to be sweet, and then I'm just like, that smells like a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
And
like
so
yams.
I will not be heating that up because the smell will get worse.
Or like, they have 10 cats. This can't be good.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like I don't trust where this came from. The person is very sweet.
Are you
but-
saying that there's cat hair in it, or they cooked one of the cats?
Cat hair.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Continue.
They love their cats. They would never cook a
either
cat.
way.
I couldn't tell from the smell.
Yeah, now
I
they
couldn't
have
determine.
9 cats, and
Yeah,
Dan's
no,
belly
I've,
is
I've
full.
had people be generous to me and bring me food, and then I'm just. It happens more often at work.
Oh, yeah.
Like people bring me food because like I like to cook and I like talking about the food that I cook a lot. Like I do a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so people are just like, oh yeah, well I cooked this. I'm gonna bring it for you. And I go, great, that sounds fantastic. And then they do, and I'm just like, cool, I'm gonna take this home. And then it never goes home.
No.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
gets
yeah.
thrown away almost immediately.
Yeah.
See, I've kinda-
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I was saying, like the electrician thing. Like I've been in a lot of people's homes in the pastoral world, or heard their life stories to the point where the church potluck. I'm like, this is someone who might put a syringe in a pie.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah, I go right.
I
for
know
the
too much.
Syringe in a
There's somebody
pie?
that
Am I
used to
missing
bring
something?
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, for these people. There's not a whole lot you can do with this.
can't do much.
I'ma eat
But I've
these.
seen their kitchen, and I still don't want to eat it. Yeah.
Man, I had my pastor over like a month ago, and now I'm worried about what he's thinking about my place.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's just allergic to cats.
no
and so
judgments.
he
It's
came
just
over
that
and-
you filter things, you file things away. Like,
That's why they
okay,
call it meatloaf. It's not real descriptive on what kind of meat they're using.
stay away from the Ingle Nigger meatloaf.
Yeah.
At the potluck.
And definitely count the layers on that bean dip.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's not 7 layers. This is 5, Karen.
And I would say anything over 3 layers has got some mystery business in there.
Yeah.
That, and if you count just shredded iceberg lettuce as a layer, get out of here.
Did you check the
definitely do
expiration
that.
dates on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you've especially a pastoral role or a local construction guy, you go over to people's houses and you're like, I mean, it's fine, it's nice, and you got to do a good thing, but you'll walk out of there going, nope,
Nope. No.
that dog has been eating on that turkey that's been on the table. I've been here 3 days in a row replacing outlets, and that turkey been sitting in the exact same place for 3 days. Forget it.
But they're still living. They got a stomach of stone, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They got so many probiotics in there due to the filth they eat.
Yeah, if you eat a lot of microbes, that's what's going to happen.
I'm paying for the privilege to try to keep that kind of stuff down, and they're doing it naturally.
You got some kind of microcultures going on in your stomach that I don't want to get involved in.
Actually, I did feel real bad for our. We made Christmas cookies last year for the post lady who comes by the house with the mail, and boy, these were bad. These were nasty cookies. The kids made a bunch of gluten-free cookies. They make them so that then they can have a few of the leftovers. And I tried a couple, and I said, "Man, you sure you want to give that to the post woman? I mean, she does good work."
Man, why didn't you go buy some legit cookies and just let the kids bake the gluten frees?
Because then they would have offended them because they thought they made really good cookies. Here's the deal: my
I'm not
kids'
saying
palates don't
parade
work.
it in front of them and go, well, here's good cookies and here's your bad cookies.
Here's what you did.
You take your bad cookies and we're going to give them good cookies. You could have just given them the good cookies and been like, well, by the way, these were baked by our kids. And then here's some legit chocolate chips.
I mean, the kids have to know that they so they don't show up going, "Look, I made you delicious cookies," when it's not. I mean, you got to know that your gluten-free cookies aren't doing it.
Yeah.
There's a few. There's of the gluten-free cookies. There's like one out of the 7,500 recipes that is any good, and that's because it's just peanut butter or
Yeah, I
whatever.
was going to say, if you're making cookies with arrowroot powder,
Yeah.
I don't want it.
It's a ball of peanut butter with a raisin
Yeah,
in it.
you know what? I understand
These are
that granola
tapioca
crowd.
flour chocolate chips.
They'll
We
make
got any
they'll
chocolate
make
chips?
flour out of anything, right? They're like
Yes.
tree bark flour.
Actually, I was asking my wife the other day. I said, "What the heck do they make potato flour out of? Like, do they like dry out a potato and then run it through the mixer?" Because that's how we make I've said, "Hey, we're out of oat flour or whatever," and she puts oats in the blender and mixes it up. We're out of almond flour. She puts almonds in the blender and mixes it up. I'm like, I mean, how's this potato? I mean, can you dry a potato out enough to run it through the old Vitamix?
I would die laughing if you just threw a potato into a blender and then went, is this right? Try to bake it?
These are hash browns. You made hash browns.
Exactly. I was going to say, when you blended almonds, didn't you make almond butter?
Here's the thing. Can you imagine the gravitas it takes to just basically grind something up and say, that's flour?
That's flour.
Whatever it is. Doesn't matter what it is.
That's what they do with wheat, Mike.
Yeah,
They
but
put wheat and
I was
grind
gonna
it up.
say,
Yeah, but
that's-
that's
you're
legit
just
flour,
milling
and
wheat.
it's been known historically as flour. But that's like saying that I can grind up anything, and now I call it flour. It's just ground up whatever you have.
Yeah, chocolate flour.
Yeah.
Yeah, run it through the Vitamix.
Yeah.
I made you some mango flour.
You don't get to do that, right? Flour is flour. You get to call it something else.
Okay.
Okay, I'm with you. But like milk, you can't have almond milk. It's not. Didn't come from a cow.
That's not milk.
It's
It's not
water.
milk, it's juice
It's
or
almond
something.
water is
Almond
what it is.
water,
I've
okay.
made it at home.
Yeah.
You basically grind up a bunch of almonds, you soak it in a bunch of water.
Oh.
It's basically like brewing coffee. And then you let it sit there till it gets all white and milky, like really cheap skim milk. And then you sift all the crap out and leave what's behind. It's almond water.
Yeah, coconut milk is just juice.
Yeah.
It's not even that. You're not squeezing anything to get it out.
That's what you're saying. To be milk, it's got to come out of a teat.
Yeah, yeah. Can you imagine a guy milking a tiny almond teat?
Come on! Give me another minute here.
I mean, a guy, especially a guy new to this type of operation, he's like, I've been at this for like 6 hours. This almond's got nothing for me.
I've been milking this almond for 6 hours, and I've been blending that potato for 3.
It's just got-
All it is hash browns.
Just wait till we start our cooking show. This will
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic.
Okay. So George Barna shares 4. Who's going to do the surveys when Barna is dead?
Is he a real man?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
This is him.
He's
Yeah.
an
I always think of
institution.
Barnum and Bailey Circus when I ever hear his name. So.
He says 4 ways Christian parents can combat media's influence in children's lives. Mike, how many? Can you think of any ways?
I got one way.
Okay, let me hear it.
Don't let him watch media.
Turn it off.
That's it.
Mike says separate Amish style.
No. Well,
Oh,
it
now
depends on your definition of media. Are we talking like what? Like all like news
Like media.
or like a TV show? Is that media as well?
That's like entertainment.
Yeah, like
Not media though.
like internet, YouTube, Netflix,
Yeah.
TV,
Yeah,
all that is media.
Any of that? Yeah.
Oh,
okay, I got
Because
it.
that's social
Oh,
media
like
plus media. from
multimedia.
TV. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I feel
we just
better
keep defining the word
criticizing
media
other
over and
people's
over
lists than coming up with my own list. So you read his list, and then I will criticize it.
Okay. All right. He says the most significant influence on the development of a worldview in America today is what we absorb from the media. I'm not. Now he would know, I guess, but I'm not sure that's true.
He's a media company.
I don't see the kids listening to media.
Well,
I'm
so-
thinking of news. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. So think about anyway. So it could be social media. It could be any media.
TikTok.
I think it is introduced that way. I do think, and this may not be true for very much longer, but I do think it is affirmed or solidified within peer groups still. I don't like. There's some people that walk out on a rail and follow a personality, just like people always have. But like major shifts, I think, are still happening with affirmations in close friend groups and contextualized. Even if that's happening over social media, I don't think it's just as bland as you got an idea and it changed your life. Mm-hmm. I could be wrong about that. Let's see. And if that's the case, then that says to me as a parent or grandparent or somebody who cares about the development of the worldview of children that I've got to pay attention to what media is investing in those children's minds and hearts. So they enlisted 4 M's that parents should employ to combat the harmful influence of the media on their children.
M's?
Yeah, 4 M's. Starting
Meatloaf.
with an M. Mm-hmm. Number 1, he first advised parents to monitor what these kids are being exposed to. Because our research shows that most parents are happy to buy their children every device the kid wants and then leave the kids up to determine what they're going to take in through all those devices.
Mistake.
They don't even know what their kids are being exposed to. So is this something that, Dan, did you actively monitor? Now, your kids were I suppose teenagers would have been exposed, like they had devices and things, right?
Yeah. Like they got phones when they were in sports and were being left alone in the parking lot, and we thought, okay, that we need to know when this practice is over.
It's like a weapon. You call when there's protection. You need protection.
Well, just when it's time to get picked up.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, well, I don't know when practice is over. I'm not going to sit there for 2 hours waiting for if the coach is in a bad mood and to go, whatever.
Yep.
And so it became like, okay, that's when they got their phones. But we tended to go toward the cruder phones available at the time. Like they never had smartphones.
Rudimentary.
We were,
Okay.
in charge.
And then, so did you monitor? Did you ever? Do you feel like checking history of things or stuff like? Do you ever feel like you had to do any of that?
I didn't. I mean, who knows what they could have done secretly, but there was a trust there, and we had so many conversations. We talked about so many things that I figured I had set them up so that whatever they were exposing themselves to, they would know how to maneuver it.
Yep.
I tried to make them because I knew like you're not. It's there. It's just there.
Right.
I mean, you can monitor it, but it's everywhere. You know, and their friends have it, and all that. So we tried to prepare them for that.
Yeah,
that makes
I think that's a good point. Is that regardless of how close you think you can lock your own joint down, like there's always the friend. There's always the friend who's got the Playboy somewhere. I mean,
exactly.
Like, there's always the friend who's not locked down and has been looking at stuff for a while and can go, hey, take a
Look
look
at this. Yeah. And the whole idea was not everyone looks at the world the way you do. So just understand there are people out there who don't believe in Jesus, who don't have moral standards, and so don't be shocked. Don't be like, oh, I believe you. You just know that.
Yep.
And it's not healthy for you.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
Mike, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, our kids have devices. I do. I think when I gave them to them, like I asked them if they understood how the internet browser works or how Netflix works, and I said, look, your history stays. I check it. I mean, really randomly, but not very often. But basically, I mean, I use the same accountability for me, right? Like I figure what's good for me is good for them, right? Like my history stays. And if you didn't have anything to hide, then there's no reason for your history ever to be clear.
Yeah.
So just if I find your internet history is short or gone or missing, or I can't find out what you've been watching, I'll probably have to take this stuff back. But I don't do it on like a weekly or even a monthly basis.
It's
like
7 o'clock.
Yeah, if
time.
here's the thing that I can tell with my kids is like if they spend an inordinate time on electronics. They start to get a little bit of a me-centric attitude, right? Like, and it happens to adults too, right? It's just more noticeable because they have a parent, in the room. I probably do the same thing. There's just no one parenting me, but like, and so if I see that coming, or if I feel like that's coming on, or I need an explanation on some behavior I've been looking at, I'll be like, just let me see your computer. I'm gonna go through it. Same thing with phones. Like they got passwords on their phones. I know what they are.
Yeah.
If there's ever a time that I can't get in your phone because you changed your password, I'm gonna have to take the phone back. So because it's my phone, So it's saying, look, this is the freedom, but the protection is like there's a chance someone's gonna catch up on you. You're gonna check up on what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think mine's similar. It's the cost of the device is transparency. And then which means like you're more likely to get someone to say something to you, like they're going to talk about things they may have run into or whatever. And like I think I'll check every once in a while. I'll check messages, and every once in a while I'll look at browser history. But like it's not a ton.
Yeah, and frankly, that's just to. It's like putting your kid out into the world and you peeking out the door every once in a while, going, are we doing okay here? Just to make sure they're not, because I'm like, people get sucked in. This is not all like micro parenting. You still give a crap about your kids, right? And so you don't throw them out. Like you've been in the world long enough. I don't even know if I'm fit to be out in it, And so like, as much as you want to give your kids freedom, there's a way to parent well where it gives your kids freedom to go out and experience some things, but you still check up on them and go, how's things going?
There is an enemy whose desire is to devour them.
Correct.
And he's quite cunning.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So we agree. Monitor makes sense. Okay. So also suggested that parents minimize it because our research also shows that in America the biggest addiction in our country is media. We spend more time literally absorbing messages from media than anything else we do except for sleep. I saw the other day that it said that the average American watches 4 hours of TV a day. Do you guys watch that much TV a day?
I can't imagine.
That's a lot.
That's not an answer, Dan.
Well, I can't imagine not.
I can't. I mean, I didn't want to say no, emphatically. When if you measured it, it'd be like, well, you're at
That may be
345. I mean,
Maybe it's a lot.
Are they saying TV counts as all video streaming internet?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Buva, what was that same high to you or no?
No, absolutely not.
No, you do. You get in 4 a day.
If I'm not working, and it's a day off where I actually am trying to like relax a little
sitting
bit.
back. Yeah, I can see that on a day like that. Yeah, yeah.
But like an average of 4 hours a day?
No, not an average of 4 hours because I'm working.
Yeah, that seems real high.
I'm working or sleeping.
I don't know. I bet 2. I bet 2. on it.
Like you watch something every night, an episode of something?
Yeah,
Yeah,
watch
okay.
a couple, 3 episodes or something with your significant other while you're, decompressing the day and saying
Watch
what
the Gilligan's Island.
I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing I would do is watch YouTube videos of like cooking. Like I watch like cooking shows.
Are they about cooking?
Cooking.
Do they address the cat hair?
What to do about these people?
Okay. All right. So
Ben,
minimize.
just to reiterate, I did want to let you know that the shows that I do watch, mainly, I would say cooking is.
There's a lot of food involved.
Like cooking food is the usual thing.
Grilling.
Not to be redundant or anything, but
Right.
just it's cooking.
Sometimes they're just heating up the food. Sometimes they're actually
Right, like I
cooking
wouldn't even call it cooking. It would just be like reheating.
it. Yeah, fire elements.
But a lot of them are, in
Recapitulation.
fact, cooking.
So like, did you ever? I guess so. How do you go about this? How do you minimize for your kids? Like, I mean, we'll kick them out of the house and be like, "Look, you can't. It's nice outside. Go outside." Or it's not nice outside. Get out. I don't care either way.
We do a time limit, so like you can have phones or be on electronics after like 8, and like you got to be in bed by 9 or 9:30.
Yeah.
And so like you get to use your time wisely. But this is the beauty of giving that type of freedom is because the next day or the day after they'll be like, "Oh, I just really wanted to play a game with you, Dad," and then you weren't around. I'm like, "You had between 8 and 9:30, and this didn't come up. You made no mention of this, but all of a sudden the technology's gone, and all of a sudden Dad's real commodity, like, just realize that, like, words and actions, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can see right through this. We're like, I just didn't have time to clean my room. I mean, you had time between 8 and 9:30 to do it, and you did not, so it couldn't have been that important to you,
Yeah.
And so, like, it helps give a little bit of, cause and effect, some structure that goes, look, you do have some freedom, but realize, like, it's not free of all responsibilities. It's not like an hour and a half that gets taken completely out of the day. If you didn't get your laundry done, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing about this, right? You had time to do it and you chose not to.
Yeah.
So I mean that's true. That's true as an adult, right? You're setting people up for life. Like as soon as you get out of your mom and dad's house, you can sit around and do nothing all day. You're gonna have a hard time eating, sleeping, wearing clean clothes, or doing all the things that you've accustomed to while living at your mom and dad's place.
Yeah. Okay. The next one was mediate. Serve as the mediator between what the media is trying to get you to believe and what we as followers of Jesus believe based on what the scriptures teach. He remarked that if parents are watching a show with their children that exposes them to an idea that runs contrary to the biblical worldview, they should tell them, we know that's a lie because the scriptures teach us this. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say it like that. No.
Yeah, I'd say it
creepy.
differently.
Like a real nerd. Like
That's 100%. That was our system.
So,
Yeah,
did you just say something was real nerdy?
Yeah, to go, we know that's a lie.
Colossians
Scripture
2
teaches
says
us
that's a
this.
lie.
Yeah, that seems nerdy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like saying because the Bible tells us so. What did Jesus love me?
Yeah. There'd be many times over the years I'd pause, the Hannah Montana, whatever's on it, and go,
Yeah.
hey, just clarify, we think differently.
Because the kids came in while you were watching it, or
I'm just checking this out
I
before
thought
you
the
guys
news
see
was
it.
on 62. My bad.
Hannah Hannah Montana.
It was often, there were often conversations, and I tried really hard not to make it creepy, I wasn't talking down to it. It was just like, hey, here's what the world looks like.
It's so hard not to sound cheesy.
Yeah.
Because you sound cheesy to them.
Yeah.
Right? You're already old in their estimation, and you're already out of touch with whatever's going on, and then you trying to explain. Grace accuses me of this all the time. She's like, I don't know why. Anytime technology comes up, you have to start talking like a conspiracy theorist, like they're out to get me. I'm like, they are.
No?
They are out to get me.
Lizard people.
Yeah. Come on. I'm telling you. Hello, my baby. Hello.
And
Totally different lizard.
Short. It wasn't like a half-hour, sermon. It was like just little, hey, we don't do that.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would make that Hannah Montana episode really long if every time something broke down, Dan's like,
We don't wear the
right,
fake
let's get
hair.
started here. Leviticus 27:13 says.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't that. It was.
Ben, admittedly, that sounds like something you might do.
What do you mean? Like I would give the Bible verse?
No, as in you'd spend the 25 minutes talking about why something that was said in one line was bad.
Oh, no,
And
I
then
might definitely
I'd
do that. Yeah.
Turn the Hannah Montana episode into 4.5 hours.
Yes.
Because
no,
you keep pausing and going, okay, I know we just talked.
Yes. Yes. Pegged. Guilty as charged. Actually, I spent a
I feel
number
like
of...
you come up with a quiz at the end of it. All right, now why don't we believe that?
A, B,
That
or
also
C.
sounds right. Yes. I used to last year. I was having to drive my oldest to jazz band relatively early in the morning. Like we'd leave the house at 5:45 or something to get to the other side of town, and like we'd be listening to news, and it was NPR because they at least it was always news, and so they'd be talking, and like I swear every story was like, okay, now I want you to think about how they presented this to you. Does this seem right?
Yeah.
But like it's been helpful because like now
Right.
she's pretty good at it. She can pick out like,
Yep.
hey, we're missing a part of the story. I said, don't presume that it's nefarious, but just know that you're missing it,
Yeah.
and that you don't have a complete story until you get it.
Yeah, sweat and training so you don't bleed in war.
Yeah. So like, so I think that's been, and that the right mediation. I think as people take in media, and like that's one of the biggest risks of media is one perpetrating lies to your children or things that we otherwise wouldn't agree with in mass. So just because 50 people said the same thing still doesn't make it true. Just because a million people shared it, just because it seems it's with a cool graphic. Secondly, you're almost never getting, especially with social media, you're almost never getting things in context. But it's also true for all forms of traditional media. If someone told you the state of the war somewhere in the Middle East in under 90 seconds, you did not get a full perspective.
Right.
It's just not, you just didn't. And so like, reserve judgment. They're passing on facts. That's great. If they're not like anything beyond that, just be careful. You're probably not getting a full picture, especially a politician reacted this way or these politicians reacted this way. You're getting shifted on the story, and it's agnostic to political side. It's just happening. And so, if you can pick that stuff out, then whatever, you can consume media all you want to. I get more enjoyment out of just listening to it, but not, I don't get riled up about it because I'm like, boy, there's a half story. As opposed to like, I'm real incensed because of this thing or this thing. I'm like, I don't even know whether that's true or not. I'm going to have to check.
Yeah. I tell you what, one of the most gratifying conversations I had with my youngest daughter, she was in her undergrad years, so sometime in that first 4 years, we had a conversation, and she was saying what she was so grateful for in her upbringing that her peers did not get in the conversation. Is that when there was a rule or some type of conversation I would have with her of why we weren't doing something, I actually told her why. It wasn't just because I'm the dad.
Yeah, right.
I say so. Christians don't do that. It's like it would give a more of a purpose. This is why we don't do that. And so she could learn to think, and like, okay, and if it's a different situation, I can still think, okay, we don't do these things. And like so many of her friends had no clue how to handle life because all they did was the whatever particulars mom and dad talked about.
Yeah, right, wrong, right,
here's
wrong.
the list. Here's all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because the whole goal is to be able to recognize sin, and then when sin go put a mustache on, it comes back in and be like,
Yeah.
hello.
I'm a different.
Be like, hey man, I recognize you.
Yeah,
Right, that
exactly,
mustache ain't
exactly.
fooling me.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know I was doing that. I like to think I was intentional, but it was
Right.
It was
Purely by accident. I just ooze greatness.
put on a jean jacket and things happen.
Okay, more lies. And then finally, that was last. And finally, was more lies. In other words, helping them to understand the difference between right and wrong. Well, that one might not have been necessary. I assume that was part of mediate. Otherwise, your mediation is funny. Here's the thing: is if it wouldn't been for some of the conversations we've been having about masks and points of view or whatever,
That one, it's not as clear to me. Like I'm really growing to understand the battle of the goods, right? Of two people or two different sides of a story that are coming at it, believing that they're making good decisions here, right? And so like I think sometimes we're too quick to go good and evil or right and wrong, and take the humanity out of it, which is his whole deal. Like his humanity is his whole deal, right? Like he created an earth and put us as an ambassadors, his representatives on the earth. And so like taking some of those things out of it and acting like religion is a straight black and white, good on one side, not good on the other side. I think that's categorizing people as less than, and I never noticed Jesus be doing that. So, I mean, there's some things that we can't acquiesce to, right? There's some things that are pretty black and white. God's heart is spoken on it. His intentions are pretty straightforward. We can always say, I don't think we agree on this, but I think we can still be friends. We can still be in a relationship of some kind. But on the other hand, when there's especially political type things, I think more often than not, we're coming from battle of goods here, where people believe that they're doing the best thing. And even talking about some of the Middle East stuff, go and talk to them. Go and talk to both sides of that conflict, and both of them believe that they're doing what is necessary and right and good.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good exercise. Is like your gut reaction should never be good evil. I would first say different. Yes, different. How? Like where different? So where the same? Where are we? What do we agree on anything at all? And then now focus on where you're different, and then figure out why you have a difference there, and then maybe you can make a good evil thing. Like you can get to a point where it says, as opposed to like big buckets of good and evil, like let's narrow it down and figure out exactly where the problem is, and then eventually there's a moral choice in there somewhere. But like what we tend to do is we to paint the whole picture that way, as opposed to saying this is the thing that actually throws it off. We're good here. We're good here. This is where we parted company. These are where the decision tree took us, and then ultimately, that's the moral question that we're not agreeing on. Because like that you can point that's substantive. It feels like human versus human unnecessarily when we just go, you have an idea, I have an idea, I hate you for that. That's not productive. Okay, let's see. Blah 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 blah. Panelists also elaborated on what constitutes a worldview. A person's worldview is formulated by answers to questions asking, where did I come from? Does my life have meaning? Yes, no, and why? I don't care about that.
That's an odd addition to the story.
Yeah.
Holy cow, it goes on for another 8 paragraphs of blah, blah, blah.
So noting that there are 16,000 hours between kindergarten and 12th grade, you cannot overcome the impact of those 16,000 hours by taking them to church on Sunday and maybe take them to youth group on Wednesday night. So I do think that's true, although you counted the number of hours they have exposure to school. How many hours do I have at home? Like because I'm not relying on my Sunday school teacher or the pastor to rescue my kid. Like you're going to have to parent them at home.
I think you double down on that.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of folks. In fact, I was Focus on the Family put something out on the Facebook this week. We're like, here's our how to talk to your kids that have walked away from Jesus, or how to prevent them from walking away with Jesus, right? And the comments were just filled with parents that like, I did everything right. I lived a good Christian upbringing. I taught them everything that Jesus should have known, and they walked away from Jesus anyway. And like 2 out of my 3 kids, and it was just comment after comment after comment, and there, every once in a while you'd get someone in there asking for prayer for that situation. I'm like, I believe that guy. That guy I'm on board with. Everyone else, I feel like, and here's the thing: is like it's way more common than you think. You are like you're a good parent. You love your kids, and that's not what we're talking about here. But you take the spiritual thing, the thing that God has taught us about how His world is supposed to work, and you said we better leave that to the professionals. The thing is like if you want, especially youth group and a church attendance for a child to mean something to them, they need to be reinforcing what you're already doing. That makes it legitimate, is because they know that your mom and dad aren't just religious zealots, and that's just not them and how they are, and they go into another community of people and go, oh, well, my youth group lady was saying the exact same thing. And so that must be God's deal. That must be what God has said, not just what mom has said. And so that's how you youth group and church programming for kids start to add legitimacy to the things that you're doing at home. But if it doesn't exist at home, now the youth group guy's the zealot, or your pastor is some kind of hard-nosed jerk face. In the kids' estimation, well, they don't really make that big of a deal out of this stuff at home, and so obviously that guy's hard to get along with, right?
So you're not doing yourself any favors trying to do it that way. Yeah, I agree. So, and it talks about schools laying a foundation that the media then supports. So I guess if there's a broad takeaway here, it's that like you should whatever those 4 M's are should probably be true for almost anything your kids are dealing with. Like you don't turn your kid over to anything.
Right.
You're constantly monitoring how much exposure they have to any given thing, talking them through it.
Even their friends.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same difference.
Yeah, they're peers.
Yeah. So I guess sum it up, be active in their lives.
Yeah,
And then tell them true things in reaction to the things they're running into.
And if this can be an encouragement for you, it's never too late to take your role as a parent back. Doesn't matter how far you let it slide. You gave them devices, they got 4 devices, and you let them go crazy wild for the last 3 years, and you're like, I got to do something, but they're going to be mad at me. I got to take their devices away. Just do it.
They're mad at you anyway.
Just take them away.
Yeah.
Just take them away, and then I mean, give them back to you'll give them back to them. You know, like you'll find where you feel comfortable as a parent for them. But if you failed, don't live in the failure. Don't be like, I've already done it. I've already made this. You let them date somebody that you shouldn't have. You let them go somewhere where they shouldn't go. Just say, yeah, that was my reaction last week. That is no longer my reaction. Here's what we're going to do moving forward. Right? Just take it back today. Don't sit on it and wait and worry about their feelings on the matter. That they're children. That's your job, is to parent them. And like, you cannot let their feelings run your house. You've seen their feelings. They're wild and unpredictable.
Yeah, and I think it's not like that's the thing, is that you got to be reasonable with your kids. Is that like they're depending on you to help them set boundaries. They don't know what the boundaries are. They're going to press them. They're going to push around to see what works and what's good, what's not good. They're going to try out different ideas and stuff. And like, if you don't act as the boundary, they're going to keep on going. Because that's what they're testing. Like in fact, everybody does. Adults are still doing this. Like you're still trying things out and going, okay, I can handle that. Or you know what? No, I can't. Now, maybe if you live a tame life and it has to do with how many tamales you can eat, or how many sodas, or how late you can drink soda. But like, you tell me you're not still doing it. Like, you say, man, I probably shouldn't drink all this soda. And then you're going, I'm going to try this at 8 o'clock and see if it works out. And then it doesn't work out. And you're like, oh crap, I'm going to have to not drink soda after 5. You're still doing this.
Yeah.
And you're going to keep doing it. Your kid has just got a whole bunch of things. They haven't nailed down any of that yet. You're like, I know probably not soda late at night. I just don't know how late. Your kid's like, I don't know why not soda all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, be the boundary. Help them not walk off cliffs. It's totally fine.
Yeah. Just don't be afraid to take it back.
All right. Okay. I don't care about that article anymore. You listen to Live from the Path. I don't know. Maybe you've had experience in this, and you're like, hey, I tried all this stuff and it didn't work. Or you've run into situations where you got some additional tips. We'd love to hear them. You can give us a call or a text on the Live from the Path Bob Eisenhower complaint line, 515-517-0085. That's 515-517-0085, the Bob Eisenhower Live from the Path complaint line. You can call or text. Bob's a good man. My mom's car broke down, and she blew a tire and somehow limped it into the Eisenhower parking lot.
Really?
Yeah. And so I had to shoot him a text that said, Bob, my mom's car is in your parking lot. And he said, it's no problem. Because I thought maybe he'd tow it away. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like she landed it there on purpose. It just happened to be his parking lot. I said, well, bonus. So anyway, I had like an open tire sitting in there as a parking lot, and he was real gracious about it. That's why we like Bob.
Yeah, that's cool.
Buy a house.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, buy a house. Yeah, this is a good reason. If you weren't thinking of buying before, now's the time.
I let you park that Jethro mobile here. You better use me for your next transaction.
So I'm interested in your students nationwide take part in Bring Your Bible to School Day. What do you think about this? Dan, were you ever part of something like that?
No, I just always thought it was dorky.
Like, at the 8th annual Bring Your Bible to School Day, students were emboldened to share the Word of God with their classmates. What's the disconnect here?
Yeah, if you just see I have a physical Bible, then now you've been evangelized or something. It's like, I think you need to be living it. I mean,
Yeah, I think it goes back to a legitimate thing, like we talked about with the parents and the youth. The same thing is true with your classmates, right? Like you show up here every day acting like a complete horses behind, and then all of a sudden bring your Bible because your mom and dad put it in your hands and set you on the way and like, represent Jesus today. So like they're gonna see right through this.
put on the Pharisee robe and put on the long dangly tassels, and they're going to think you're a good prayer. It's like,
I mean, it's true when talking with just about anybody who doesn't know Jesus. You have no excuse not to love them. That you have to do. You don't ever change or agree to things that God doesn't agree with.
right? You don't ever move. Because this is true with all types of sin and people who don't know Jesus, is eventually, at some point in their life, they're going to start questioning the decisions they've been making. And you have to be that person that they can come back and talk to. Because you never moved. You never agreed that the sinny thing they were doing was not sin. You called it what it was, and you said, yes, that's what it is, but I still love you. And so, like, that when you bring a Bible to school and you don't actually read it, you're going to give a really false impression on what who Jesus is and what God is about. And like it seems dangerous to me, honestly. Like if it's one of those things that, like, as soon as you decide that, like, maybe following Christ ain't for you, you should probably stop preaching or talking to people, right? Until you understand what is happening and where you're at, you know? And so it just seems like an awfully kitschy move. Yeah, like if the I guess if it wasn't bring your Bible, if it was something else, like, are you making disciples? If everybody who loved the Cincinnati Reds coordinated and put a day together where they all wore their Reds paraphernalia, I mean, I suppose I know who the Reds fans are, but that has no particular consequence to me. But it doesn't motivate me to be a believer. I don't really want to listen to them talk to me about why I should love the Reds, right? Like, I don't. It just seems, it's like maybe it just feels like a shallow victory. Like, we're claiming some sort of success for what? For doing something we could do on our own every day if you want to. Yeah. And, like, I mean, do they think kids are doing this? Like, they're showing up with the Bible and kids are going like, oh, good, now I'm open to the gospel. I just don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'd be surprised. Maybe it'd be real awesome to hear, like, stories out of this thing where they're like, yeah, you know, you don't think it works, but, like, the Word of God, someone just carrying the Word of God around makes flowers grow. Like, it's not that God can't do it.
Right.
I don't know.
I kind of put it up there with, like, I always thought it was kind of creepy, like when they did the 40-hour famine thing and then they'd all wear T-shirts. Hey, I'm fasting. You know, it was like, I mean, I don't know, 40-hour. I mean, it's a fast, yeah. Yep. I mean, but it's not like, it seems not the purpose, you know? You're going kind of contrary to the heart of it, you know?
Yeah, and of why God was doing fastings anyway, and
yeah. Yeah, but we're raising awareness.
You just have to watch. You have to be aware of anything that calls attention to yourself.
Yeah.
That's all. And like, and I suppose you can weigh it and measure it and go, hey, where are we at here? But like, you bringing a Bible to school calls attention to you, not necessarily to Jesus. Yeah. Right. You can call attention to Jesus by the way that you interact with other people, for sure. But the fact that, like, even Christian T-shirts are like, Yeah. You know, wear them, don't wear them. Hey, I do see those BLDR shirts around town all the time, though. Yeah. Yeah. That guy we had, like, I see him a lot. It's more prone to people who go to coffee shops. Well, here's the thing. It's like I saw somebody wearing a BLDR T-shirt, and, like, when I was out in West Des Moines, I waved at them, and they didn't wave back, and I thought, oh, I see. He's a real jackwagon. Yeah. We got. I was about ready to call that guy. We had to come in and say, like, you need to go get that shirt back.
You deconstructing?
That's right. I'm getting rid of the D and the R. So the guy from who's Focus on the Family, no doubt. He says it opens doors for students to talk to their friends about the gospel. Like, this was the occasion. If they're your friends, like, I don't know why you'd have to focus it on this. I'm not sure that, like, the door was shut because you didn't physically bring your scriptures to school. Yeah. I don't know. It connects them with other believers in their school. That seems kind of handy.
I can see that.
Yeah. Except for, because of how they've set up the event, I might be a little wary of either the parents or the kid who's the guy who's like, heck yeah, Bible day.
Yeah, we had a guy on our football team who would carry his Bible around. Like, I don't know if I ever talked to him.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was a total Bible guy. I totally loved Jesus.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you're kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. But
maybe that says more about me.
It feels like he's going to use it aggressively. Like, you just don't. And this one is actually makes me nervous. It allows them to celebrate their religious freedoms in the United States. I'm like, yeah, but why? Like, why would I have the only reason I care about whether I have a religious freedom is so it has the ability to otherwise help me spread the good news. I don't care that I have a personal religious freedom that requires a celebration. Like, it's a wrong thought. Like, that seems like an exercise on, I want to show you that I have a right to do this. Yeah. That doesn't change the world. That just justifies you. You know, there's dudes on the other side of the world that are carrying their Bible to go to the market because they might get shot on the way there. And they're going to read it while the guys are filling their order, right? Like, it's part of their day. It's part of the regular, right? It's like saying, like, hey, wear your socks to work day. And you're like, finally. Like, I wear socks to work every day, and everybody knows it. And so, like, it's odd to call attention to something that like either you do it or you don't. Either it means something to you or you don't. And like people will know that hopefully by the way that you're living it out. And so like the one day of hey hurrah showing it to everybody kind of stuff is like once again I think you just got to be careful of what it's calling attention to.
Yeah.
It is cool to meet to know that there's other Jesus people. Maybe we put something else together, like wear a gray shirt or something. I don't know, like figure out. I always thought the flagpole prayer thing wasn't so bad. I didn't think it was like they had kids get together at the flagpole before school started,
just
right?
Praying.
Yeah, just praying. I'm like, okay, one, you're bringing God into this deal. You're praying for your school that you're going to, and you get to see the other Christian folks. And hey, we're a bigger community than we thought. And then you get to walk in emboldened and take it on, right? But like the Bible thing doesn't seem the same to me, and I don't know why. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Do we think bulk of students are high school students or junior high? But he says students can participate all through college. Like what? This feels like permission. Like you think college kids are going to ask you, is it okay if I bring my Bible today? It's just, you know what it does? I think where I get wary here is that I think it's real easy to look at this type of thing, which just feels like propaganda to me. And then I look at the Christians and I think those people are easily fooled. Look how they got propagandized. Yeah. It'd be the same thing if a bunch of Scientologists and their kids started showing up handing out crap. I'm like, this kid doesn't even know what he's talking about. Like his parents are obviously making him do it. This is a weird belief system. It just like, delegitimizes it to me. It'd be like if I was going, like I could travel out of town for work, right? And like my Bible, it'd be like if I put my Bible at the top of my bag and then spilled my bag open, like, oh, hey, fellas, you guys saw my Bible. Yeah, I'm in Jesus, man. You know, my Bible stays in my bag because that's where it's going to be when I take it out and read it, right? It just seems like it's all for show. It's like it's propping up a weird reality.
It's like you have your Bible on the phone and you say, hey guys, I'm reading my Bible now.
Yeah, just a heads up.
Get into your phone. Yeah, it's like, yeah. That's just...
And then I think to myself, like, but Focus on the Family puts a lot of time into this. They expanded into homeschool kids. Yeah, right. Like, the harvest is plentiful. I mean, kind of elsewhere. Homeschool kids are filled with this kind of jazz.
Yeah.
They take Bible as a class, these people. And so, I mean, not all of them, but I mean, really, if you're going to focus your time, I'm not sure. Well, we saw an opportunity to expand into homeschool. Okay, I mean, yeah, tough nut to crack, buddy. Yeah, but like, we're spending time. There's people whose jobs are these to like jig this thing up. Yeah, I just, maybe we'll do something else. Maybe focus our time on something else. I'm less worried about whether they showed up to this day. They said we want 1 million people to do it. I'm like, I mean, it's just such a bad measure of anything. Like, if you want to invest in something to do in public school focus to otherwise, like, I don't know, FCA, when it actually used to be FCA and they cared about some of the Christian stuff going on. But like that kind of work, maybe that's awesome. Maybe that's really cool. Like, do they not care about that anymore? I mean, the notion of being a Christian in FCA is like largely unnecessary. Because you can't press the matter. Now it becomes a discriminatory problem. Gotcha. So like, the focus. Are we focusing? Let's go with where can we agree? We can agree that focusing in this area is right, and that kids, like all the stuff that you say comes from it, I don't think comes from it. But we do want those things to happen. I do want kids praying, thinking about their school thoughtfully, looking for opportunities to share the gospel, being emboldened and empowered to be confident in who they are and what they believe in, even in that environment. These are all right things. I just think like how you're going about it is a real false victory. You're not only not winning, you're also not winning people to the way you're thinking. Mm-hmm. We should stop spending time on it. Okay. This guy says, bring your Bible school day and the Live Your Faith challenges as a way to create contributors in God's kingdom story rather than consumers. Again, it's not the same. I'm just not sure that that's what it's doing. We've lowered the bar so much. Yeah, that's what it feels like, is we've really lowered the bar. Yeah, what does it look like to be a disciple of Jesus? Carry the book. And be bold about it. And even like, it almost presents kids the opportunity to be arrogant too. Like, hey, I'm exercising my free rights to do so. I mean, is this the posturing that we're after? Right now, you're trying to solve a political problem, not necessarily a gospel you want to fight that on another realm. Like, it's different. It's just different to me. Like, the rights and things that our country proposes to honor, I think you should fight for that. But don't blend this over here. Just make sure you're not using Jesus as a weapon to solve your own personal or political problems. Mm-hmm. Where Jesus cares about it anyway, and you're using a political process to emboldenly, like, make sure those things happen, I'm okay, or that you try to maintain the freedom to do it, I'm okay with. It just feels like you're picking it up as you're using Christ as a weapon. for something for you, and like that seems real bad. Okay, finally, Texas A&M kicker recited Psalm 23:1 all night before hitting game-winning field goal against Alabama. Okay. Hey, you remember what I was saying last week? We have trouble reading these stories. So I'm like, here's how they're going to go. We're going to find something that seems like super Christian, and we're going to glad onto it and get a lot of encouragement for it when we probably shouldn't. Bingo.
Yeah.
He said it all night. Hold on. What did he say here? Let's see. Thought it was an incredible night. Best moment of my life. Right after I accepted Jesus into my heart as my true Lord and Savior. And then after getting married to my wife this summer. Good catch. I'd rank this one 3. After the game, he deflected the praise for his kick and turned it toward his team. It's not just me. I get to do a little fraction of it. Blah, 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 blah. What does he say about this thing? Oh, he tried to just focus on doing his job. I was just repeating Psalm 23:1 to myself all night, which is, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not be in want. That kind of comforted me, but that's the moment I live for, and I kind of want to focus on that, then celebrate afterwards, just so I deliver on my part. They've been delivering on their part all night long. So here was the thing where I'm with him. I do use scripture that way. And it actually even doesn't even have to be particular to a circumstance. Like there are times where I get anxiousness in my stomach and stuff, and just like reciting words of Jesus is helpful to me. Mm-hmm. Just whatever's coming to mind, and just kind of let it just keep coming, and just let it kind of saturate and move around, even if it's not related to what's going on. That is helpful to me. I'm with that. Yeah. Again, the problem I think is that I see it in a news story, and the way they've used it, it just makes it seem kind of goofy.
Yeah.
And that's super disappointing.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you're listening to Live from the Path. I don't know. I think I'm tapped out on stories.
Good. I got some advice, and then we're going to tail it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Ready?
Yep.
Dear Live from the Path, we have a niece who spent 12 years in Hollywood trying to become an actress. The only job she ever managed to land was a TV commercial that showed only her hands. After spending tens of thousands of dollars and having 5 different agents, she finally gave up and moved back to Kansas. She has now written a play in which she is the producer, director, and sole actor. Mm-hmm. She has rented a venue and now expects all her friends and family to pay $50 each to come and watch her perform. We feel this is nothing more than a hobby of hers and question the level of talent and entertainment that will be presented. We rarely attend even the best of Broadway plays, but now feel obligated to go to keep peace in the family. How can we get out of this without causing resentment?
I think you should go. I mean, unless like legitimately you don't have the money, but like here's the thing. I think you're going to have a good story one way or the other. Either you're going to be super impressed, or you're going to be able to talk. I mean, not with everybody, but definitely with your spouse on the way home. You're like, boy, that was real rough.
Yeah. We ain't been fleeced like that in years.
I just don't know about this. I had a suspicion she was awful. I saw her handwork.
Yeah.
And I just, I mean, you don't have to go. I wouldn't feel any particular obligation, but like, I'd go. I'd probably go.
I probably would too, and I'd probably grumble about it to my wife all the way there. They're sucking $100 out of us.
Yep, right. Nothing brings marriages together like a mutual grumble.
Yeah.
Especially if it's on like a tertiary side of the family, right? Like it's deep into your wife or deep into your side, and you're like, these clowns. Yeah, we'll go, but I'm telling you what. And then you get to leave and go, that cousin, I tell you what.
Yeah.
Better not do this again.
We can't be hanging out with these people.
I mean, you don't have to go again. I mean, like I said, you don't have to go. I don't think you should feel obligation. And like, there's no reason if they try to guilt you, then that's on them. That's their fault. And frankly, then they've shown their true colors.
Yeah.
But like, I would just make a night out of it. I think it'll be a good memory one way or the other. It will bring some entertainment and something to talk about for years to come. I'd just go.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Because if she doesn't have talent, it will flop. And then,
I mean, have a story, right? Yeah.
Right. And it's like nobody else is coming.
Yep.
So
Here's the thing. I'll tell you this. She still wrote a whole play.
Yeah.
And rented out a theater.
Yeah.
And is acting in a whole thing. And so like, it could be the world's worst play you've ever gone to. But like, even completing a play, even if it's bad, is still a level. Someone's put a level of effort, and that's all you're showing appreciation for. You tried.
Yeah.
Even if you I still go to the little kids' soccer games. They're terrible. I still go.
yeah.
Segular says, shame on you. This production, for better or for worse, is the culmination of 12 years of effort on your niece's part, not to mention her heart's desire. If you care at all about her, spend the $50 and invest an hour or so of your time in her production. Her level of talent may surprise you, but if it doesn't, at least you will know you did the right thing for the sake of the family. I don't know if it's the right thing or not.
I don't. I would take out the weight of sake of the family. That's not. If your family is going to part company or hold an animosity to you because you didn't want to drop 100 bones to go see this play, I'm not sure that's a particularly healthy relationship. They will. Oh, it's too bad they didn't want to come or whatever. But like, I would get rid of the weight of that, but do it anyway. Just go anyway.
Dear Life from the Path, my husband and I have been together for 15 years. Over the last couple of them, he has grown distant. We were living with family for nearly 10 years. At the beginning of the year, we finally got a place of our own, but nothing has changed. He likes to drink his beer after work. I have asked him not to, but he does it anyway. I've caught him in lie after lie about his alcohol intake and jobs he has left in years past. As long as I go with the flow, everything is fine. When I get upset, he always promises to do better, but it never lasts long. Last month, I caught him messaging another woman and inviting her to lunch. He even texted he would plan a trip and let her know. When I asked about it, he told me he was drunk and it was stupid. Am I overreacting, or is my husband of 15 years no longer into this marriage?
You might be presuming a problem or a solution that I think is maybe not healthy. I wouldn't assume things were going well and then now he's becoming distant and slowly fading away from you. I think your husband is an alcoholic, and I think he's lying to hide that. I think a guy who lies to hide his alcoholism will just as easily lie to hide other things going on in his life, and maybe even as a consequence of how he feels about himself, either while he's drunk or because he gets drunk. And so I think you have a problem that is then expressing itself in 50 different ways that has very little to do with, hey, we were real close romantically and now he's fading away. I don't know that I would presume that. I think it's much more of it is probably tied to his use of alcohol.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's problems going on in his personal life that he's trying to get a grasp on, and he's run to alcohol. And you got see if you could get him into some counseling, get involved in the church, and try start turning things around in your life, and give him something to look forward to. I mean, he's gonna need some help.
Yeah, and
he's got to want to do it though too. I mean,
that's what I was gonna say. I think it's fine. There's no reason to believe if someone says, "Hey, I really want to change." Like it has to reflect.
Yeah,
it has to reflect in what they do. So like if you say, "Hey, I want to see a change too. Let's set up a counselor or let's go to these meetings," and he says no, then like at least you know it's going to be just as heartbreaking, but like you can relieve yourself of that burden.
Yeah.
You cannot do it for him. It is his thing. You want to give him every motivation to do it. You want to encourage him to do it. You want to be steadfast in kind of the ups and downs of what that looks like for him. But just know that it is not your burden to carry. You don't have to believe him just because he says he wants to change. He has to demonstrate it. And you can offer to do help with good things, but don't let that burden sit too far on you. It's his to carry.
Okay, Secular says, you are not overreacting. Whether your husband is drinking because he's no longer, quotes, into your marriage or because he is unhappy about other things going on in his life is anybody's guess. The question is, are you still into this marriage and the person your husband has become? Unless those issues are resolved, your marriage doesn't stand a chance.
I don't think you have to say, are you into the person your husband has become? That's too shallow of a look at humanity. People often become different, sometimes good, sometimes not as good. And if they had the ability to move and change to good and to not good, then that would presume they have the ability to move and change back, or to something better. And so I wouldn't just be too shallow about that. Have some optimism. Like he needs it. There's a point where it'll feel like you're doing things that aren't actually helping at all. But you'll know when you get there. But in the meantime, double down on helping him and be praying and working with those who can, get him on a path, and let's hope that he takes it.
Yeah. Okay, last one. You ready?
Yep.
Dear Life from the Path, I have been with a man for the last 6 years. He has been separated for 20 years. When I asked him if he was going to finalize his divorce, he said no. When I said I would like a commitment, he said he gave me one when he moved in 5 years ago. I said I want more. His wife even asked him for a divorce, but he said, it's expensive. I told him by my upcoming 50th birthday, I want a yes or a no on the divorce. What should I do? I mean, you kind of set it in stone already, didn't you?
I think so.
It's a little too late asking for advice now. You kind of already threw the gauntlet down. Wait, I love this guy. This is a classic dude here. He's been separated from his previous spouse for 20 years. Still hasn't filed the divorce. And the woman goes, I want a commitment. He said, I moved in 5 years ago, didn't I? So this guy's a real clown.
Yeah, you gotta get as far away from this as possible.
Yeah, that was a bad investment in time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, here's the thing, and this tends to be dudes that are doing this type of thing. But like, one, don't presume that he's going to treat you any differently than the lady who came before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that that's where you're too optimistic. I told you to be optimistic for the drunk, but you already committed to that guy. When you're not already committed to someone, there's no reason to believe that they're going to treat somebody better than they treated the last person. Secondly, like, it's okay to say, look, if I'm going to commit my life to you, I got to see it. You've proven it to me. Like, here's how you know this. We have ceremonies for this type of thing. It goes, hey, do you promise to commit to me? And I say, yeah. That's why we do weddings. Everyone sees it. You got witnesses. It's all great. This back alley stuff, like, oh yeah, I committed to you when I moved into your place, but like, no, I'm not going to tell you that in front of anybody else, and no, I'm not going to do the formal ceremonies. Like,
and yes, I'm going to stay married to my ex-wife from 20 years ago.
For what purpose at all? Like, no.
Yeah.
No, you're out on this thing. Like now, directly.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, that's it. We're just going to cut it. We're not going to even wait for his answer. We don't need a yes or no on divorce.
Nope.
If he was going to do it, he'd have done it already.
Right. You know what he thinks. And
He's
like,
using you.
that's
Yeah.
right. Exactly right. And like, you have no reason. And here's where you don't have to have optimism. This is not a guy fighting for what's good. He's fighting for what's bad. He wants to be able to continue to perpetuate the bad thing because he's a selfish turd.
He's controlling both women.
Yeah. Yeah. He needs to be stopped directly, and you're going to put a stop to it.
Yeah, you're going to be the one that sees this for what it is and goes, I'm out.
Or we need to rent a bus and go visit him.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that was that.
Wait till we get this bus.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are good options.
Tour.
Live from the Path. Secular says, assuming this man lives with you rent-free, you have spent the last 6 years with a house guest who is more concerned with his net worth than your need for validation. I didn't say anything about that part.
Yeah.
You just threw that in.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, it was too expensive to get a divorce.
Oh, to get a divorce,
Yeah.
right.
Are they that expensive?
He's looking for. All of a sudden, she's going alimony or something, I suppose, or it's like
20 years
apart. I mean,
I feel like the court would go, look, you guys seem to have got this just fine. We're staying out. If his wife wanted a divorce, it would have happened already, and the issue of property division could have been bifurcated. Obviously, this arrangement is serving them both in some way. I didn't think about that the ex-wife is still hanging around for some kind of reason.
yeah, I mean, you can't force her to stay married to him, can you? I mean,
You can do a no-contest divorce after a while,
I would
right?
think. I mean,
20 years of separation. I assume most states, maybe not New Hampshire or whatever, but most states got a path to this.
do they still have shared furniture? I mean, I can't.
Is he coming home? Yeah, I don't. This sounds like garbage.
Yeah, it does.
This guy's a hot mess.
He is.
Secular continues, your next step should be to make a final decision about whether the status quo is acceptable to you, because it is not going to change.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah, we agree with all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's right.
Boy, this wasn't super controversial today.
Yeah.
These are pretty straightforward.
Maybe we straighten secular up.
Yeah. She's been listening to the show and getting turned back on righteous.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Hey, thanks for listening to Live from the Path. We do appreciate it. Make sure you can go to livefromthepath.org and catch back episodes of the show, at least for the past few years. We love that. And actually, it was just, I see you guys are digging on some of the old podcasts that we've got retitled and out for glory. And so thanks for checking on that. We do appreciate it. If you've got the time and the inclination, we love it if you leave us a rating. I'm not sure if it does anything or not, but it does provide some level of encouragement, at least to know that you listen to the show, even if you hated it. We don't mind that at all. We'd love to hear from you either that way or through the Bob Eisenhower Live from the Path complaint line, 515-517-0085. That's 515-517-0085. I could be wrong, but I think we're out next week because I think I'm out next week. So it might be a few weeks before we drop a show for you. We got some stuff that we recorded in the can that I might release if I can find the time to do it. In the meantime, be faithful in the means. God will handle the ends. You've been listening to Live from the Path.